Bitch, I just hit you! Goddamn! Fucking slaying these kids, dude.
Hey everyone, for today's video I've got a review that I've been meaning to get to for a while of my son's Cycapa Customs High Kappa, as well as my Monk ultralight aluminum M adapter from Monk Customs. I'll start with an overview of the gun and then I'll go through some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. For starters, we'll go with the type, the model, and the price. This is a 4.3 High Kappa from Cycapa Customs. It is a gas blowback pistol. It is extremely light, and I got it for about $800 on the Cycapa Customs website. It was on sale from the original price of, I believe, $1,200 or $1,300 was the original price of it, but I waited for a Father's Day sale, and I got it for a discount. I got it for about $800. This particular model was the Evangelion model. When you order from Cycapa Customs, every build you get is going to be a one of one. He never makes the same build twice, and so this is the Evangelion model. You can tell by the stippling design on the grip and on the upper and lower frame. As for the specs of the gun, it's got a Dr. Black 4.3 slide, Dr. Black aluminum rear sight in the same color as the slide. It's got LA Kappa Customs 4.3 threaded spiral outer barrel, LA Kappa Customs threaded protector extender on the tip there. That's this little guy, which I think is a nice touch. It's got an Edge ultralight blowback unit V2 in the same color as the threaded outer barrel. It's got a garter enhanced nozzle. It's got a PDI stainless steel type bore inner barrel, maple leaf Decepticon bucking. It's got an LA Kappa Customs brass TDC hop unit, Cow 7-1 fiber front sight, and it's got LA Kappa Customs guide plug, LA Kappa Customs guide rod, a Waldo Customs Snappy Boy recoil spring. That's the 130% spring. It's got an AIP 120% nozzle spring, and LA Kappa Customs competition short stroke buffer in it. As far as the lower, it's got a Unisoft Skeletor ultralight frame, and it's got LA Kappa Customs flat trigger. It's got an Edge 02 magwell, super light. And then the actual stippled grip is from Cycapa Customs himself. He does the stippling and all the laser engraving, the painting of the anodized uppers and lowers. He does all of that himself with his laser engraver. In addition to that, it comes with a 1-year warranty, a custom hard case, and a certificate of authenticity. He also threw some patches in since it was my son's 14th birthday, and so yeah, that's basically an overview of the gun itself. Now I'm going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The slide catch, so I never have to worry about that problem again. Radio top!
Oh, so I'll fix it between.
As far as the good goes, I can't really say enough about this gun. I mean, it is super snappy when it fires, super accurate as long as the hop-up isn't slipping.
The freedom of movement that you get when you're using it is amazing. As far as a birthday present for a 14-year-old, he was over the moon. As an Evangelion enjoyer, anyone would love the design on this. It gets a lot of wows on the field. I can tell when my son uses it, he gets more confident with this weapon in his hand than with others' airsoft guns. He knows that when he goes into a one-on-one against somebody that he has an equal chance to win as they do. So I can tell in his play style that he likes it and that it's given him the freedom of movement to actually play with some confidence, and I like that a lot. The way that it feels when you fire, it's amazing. The trigger has a very light pull thanks to the trident sear that it has in it. The cycling is really fast, and I super enjoy the monk adapter. You can see here Gage is doing some pretty poor mag changes, but the actual way the mag feels when it's in there, moving along your forearm as opposed to just sticking straight down, definitely gives you a better feel when you're moving around. You can even put the little magazine in your shoulder and use it as a stock if you want to get some more secure shots. But the way Gage plays, he likes to hold the pistol right up by his face so that he can kind of see where the BBs are going more, and he can kind of get a better feel without having to actually aim down the sights.
Behind 50, I think. Yep.
Haven't had any cycling issues with it whatsoever, which is a testament not only to the gun but to the monk adapter. We haven't had any breakdowns, any needing to stop and go adjust something, fix something, make something work. Nothing was broken down, and we've used a lot. I wouldn't advise using this particular gun outside like we're doing now because of the skeleton frame. Dirt and debris can get in there, and you don't want that stuff mixing with your grease because it's just going to defeat the purpose and get stuff all grainy and scratch your finish up. So I wouldn't advise playing with it outside like we're doing here, but we can do some B-roll for the footage, and Gage is really loving it. Here he puts his little finger in there trying to do the spam like the guys do it in the speed QB, but I feel like just with your right hand shooting the trigger the normal way, I feel like you can get faster shots off.
Got one out in stake.
Here Gage was noticing the first issue that we were having, and the only issue that I would say, which is that the hop would start going down on its own and getting itself out of place, which leads us into the next section.
So, for the bad, I'd say the only thing that I've seen so far that I could say was some sort of performance flaw, and I wouldn't even say it's a flaw with Cycapa Customs themselves. It's the hop-up unit that the guy chooses to put in the build. It's a great hop-up unit. It's a TDC hop. It's amazing. However, after a few shots, it likes to unwind itself, and it likes to hop down. No matter how much we adjust it and turn the little knob on it, the BBs will always eventually start hopping down, no matter if we crank it all the way to the top or what. And so we're constantly taking the slide off and adjusting the hop up. Luckily, I got in touch with the guy who built it from Cycapa Customs, and I asked him what his advice is, and he gave me some really great advice on putting an O-ring in the wheel, in between the wheel and where you adjust it, to make the wheel harder to slip back out of place. And we put that into action, and it's worked great. It hasn't slipped out of place since. So as far as the bad, that's the only thing, and it wasn't even Cycapa Customs' fault. It's just the flaw in the LA Kappa Customs hop unit, which I still think is a great hop unit. You just got to kind of do a little bit of your own modifications to it to make sure that the hop wheel doesn't slip. Another thing that I could mention, I don't really know if it's a negative or not. It did come ungreased. It wasn't lubed when I got it. So when we first got it, the metal on metal, the anodized aluminum was kind of grindy, but obviously you've got to grease your gun. Like, everybody who owns a high Kappa knows that you have to put grease on the metal to metal parts, and you have to put silicone oil on the plastic to metal parts, or any part that's rubber you want to get silicone lube on. So I believe it's up to every high Kappa owner to grease their own gun. However, in the past, whenever I've received a high Kappa TM or whatever, they've usually come pre-greased, so I wasn't sure if that was by design, or if he neglected to grease it or not, or if he just expects the owner himself to grease the gun, which is fully understandable. I fully expect to grease my own gun when I get it. But when we did first get it and put the mag in and we went to test fire it, there was a little bit of a smell of like a burnt metal or whatever, and then we of course greased the hell out of the insides of it, and it's been super smooth ever since. You can't really, very little grinding sound, and so just I would recommend when you get it, first grease it before you fire it at all or whatever. Just make sure that it's real greased up, I suppose. When it comes to ugly, I mean, look at this thing. This thing's beautiful, in my opinion. There is nothing ugly about this guy. Depending on who you're talking to, one could consider the $1,200 price point ugly, but in my opinion, this is a work of art. You're getting a one-of-one custom creation, and you can't really put a price on art. The guy can charge whatever he wants to for his custom designs and his custom stifling work, and I think it looks amazing. And on top of that, you do get the performance that you expect to from a competition-grade high Kappa. You could build your own high Kappa out of all the exact same parts, and you could get similar performance, but you'd have a lot of work on your hands, and especially with some of these parts, the way that you fit them together, you have to do a little bit of fitment, and it's not quite as easy to put a high Kappa together as you'd think. And on top of that, the guy does an amazing job, and he puts all the extra little touches in there, like you get the little protector on there on the tip, and you get the hard case, you get a warranty, so if anything happens with it, you can send it back to him. I really think that if you can afford it, the value is there. So I wouldn't call anything about this ugly, personally, especially since I got it for $800. If you really want something like this and you want to spend a little bit of money on a high Kappa, but you don't want to spend that much money, just check the guy's Instagram out and just follow him. And it's Cycapa Customs on Instagram. Eventually, you know, maybe on a holiday or whatever, 4th of July come up, and he'll put a sale out, and everything will be 20% off, and you can get a really good deal on something that you got your eye on. I do not regret my purchase at all, especially when I saw the look on my son's face. Now, speaking of ugly, in my opinion, this is ugly, which brings me to the second part of my review. The Monk Customs M Adapter, Ultra Lightweight Aluminum Edition. Now, they make this particular HPA adapter in the regular black plastic for about $189 at Monk. And these are great, especially if you're on a kind of a budget. But if you can afford the extra $100, this one was $299 on their website. I would highly recommend this as a airsoft HPA adapter, M4 adapter for your high Kappa. Not only does it give it that really sleek look of the M adapter, of the original M adapter, where the magazines come down along your arm and it just looks and feels great, but also it comes in a bunch of really, really cool anodized colors. And I was able to get one in a purple color that matched the upper slide, which I thought was amazing. The thing that I love the most about this, and where I think the value really comes in, is in the durability. When we first got our old M adapter, the black plastic one, it felt like a 3D print job, and it felt like if we fell on it or let it drop and hit the ground, it would crack and break, and we'd have a $200 adapter that we wouldn't be able to use. This thing, super sturdy. It's full aluminum. The upper, or the actual magazine part, is aluminum. Everything about this is built well. Another thing that I noticed with the old one, it would leak. You'd have to tighten, you have to constantly tighten up a little screw on the inside, or else it would leak every time you put a mag in this way. I would always make my son take his magazines out and then take this part out and put it in, so that he didn't put too much pressure on it, forcing it in this way, and he would make it leak. With this aluminum one, I honestly don't mind giving it as much force as you have to put in this way. It never leaks. I haven't had to tighten it one time, and it just looks really cool. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend the Monk M Adapter ultra lightweight aluminum version for $300. It is quite a buy. All right, now we're going to take it outside to do a side-by-side comparison against a 5.1 stock high kappa from Jag Arms.
All right, so for comparison, I've got the Cycapa here next to a 5.1 Jag Arms high kappa that is stock. The first thing that I notice right away is the weight. This guy feels like it's about half the weight of this thing. It's due to the light polymer stock as well as the aluminum exoskeleton. Whereas this, even though the top has been cut on the slide, it still feels like it's made of steel, and the grip is a little bit burlier. But yeah. Now, let's get into the crispiness of the slide. The action on this guy, very tight and snappy. That's because it's got the Waldo Customs Snappy Boy recoil spring in there, and it is super fast. Comparatively, we have the Jag Arms here. Much, much longer pull. It actually does feel a little bit lighter, a little looser. You're not getting as much snappiness from it. And like I said, it is not short stroked or anything, so it's got a really long pull. On the inside, we can see we got the stock internals. But even for stock internals, the action is really smooth. It might be longer and a little slower than the Cycapa, but it actually is a pretty smooth action, and this guy isn't heavily lubed up at all. Next, we're going to do a shooting comparison. I'm going to get real close, and we're going to see what the action's like when we fire it. Now, we were able to get through every single BB in that magazine on one gas fill, which was nice, which means it's nice and gas efficient. One thing about the Cycapa is as soon as you put in the magazine, you notice that the magazine's about the exact same weight as the gun, because it gets about twice as heavy as soon as you put it in. It's not a bad thing, because you know every magazine you get is going to be pretty heavy. They do have some super lightweight aluminum magazines, I believe, that you can buy for your high kappas to make them as light as possible, but we usually just run the M4 adapter, the Monk M4 adapter, which is also made of lightweight aluminum and is super duper light. So let's do a shooting test with the Cycapa. As you can see, the action is almost too fast for the camera to catch. Let's see the trigger. So that's a very light trigger pull, very, very snappy gun. All right, so went through the entire magazine with gas to spare. We did not run out of gas on that entire full magazine. So that means that this Cycapa is even more gas efficient than the stock 5.1 Jag Arms high kappa. Not surprised by that at all.
All right, final thoughts. I mean, this is an absolute beast, man. It is amazing to look at. It gets plenty of wows on the field. My son has decided to customize it with a underbarrel tack light that does strobe, as well as the rainbow colored Bifrost. And usually we run it on a gas tank with an adapter that goes to a green gas canister. Since we fire indoor, it's shooting at right about 320 FPS with 0.20 gram BBs. It's super accurate. It's so much fun to play with. I feel when he lets me borrow it, that is, I feel so liquid and loose when I'm running around getting flanks and stuff. I fire sideways, just fully confident that where I'm pointing, the gun's gonna fire. Like I don't have to sit there and aim down the sights. It feels so much more freer to run around with a pistol like this than to run around with a 3-point, gun in your chest and stuff. So I personally am going to be making my own high Kappa. I've already got part 1 of that build up on the channel. I'm going to try to do all of this myself, minus of course the really, really cool artwork on the sides and the amazing stippling and stuff like that. But I am going to put in all these amazing parts, all these super high quality, expensive slide parts and aluminum this and aluminum that, and I'm going to make this thing as lightweight as I can. I'm going to try to get the performance of it to match this as much as I can and do it, at a similar build quality, and then I'll get back to you guys about the difference in price. But for right now, I think this is totally worth it. I think it made an amazing birthday present for my son for his 14th birthday present. The whole reason that I got this for him was because he wanted a really nice high Kappa for his 14th, and I asked one of the kids at the field, JJ, where I might get a really nice high Kappa, and he recommended me to Cycapa Customs, and I would recommend all of you to him as well. It's a really great tech and high Kappa builder. And I guess for the last word, we'll go to Gage to see what he thinks about his birthday present. So Gage, what do you think about your new birthday present?